So you're planning that big migration from Google Workspace over to Microsoft 365. You've probably thought about the users, the data, the calendars, all the big stuff. But there's this one tiny critical piece that, if you miss it, can literally stop your company's email dead in its tracks. Today, we're going to build the exact mail routing bridge you need to guarantee not a single email gets lost in the void. Okay, let's start with a scenario that gives pretty much every IT admin nightmares. Your migration is happening. A user who's already on Microsoft 365 sends a super important email to a colleague who's, well, they're still on Google Workspace. They hit send, and crickets. The email just vanishes. It doesn't bounce back. It's not in spam. It's just gone. That is the black hole we are here to fix today. Now, this isn't some random glitch. It's a fundamental communication breakdown. You see, during a migration, your two mail systems are basically strangers to each other. Without a really clear set of directions, when Microsoft 365 can't find a recipient inside its own system, it just gives up. That email falls right into this black hole, and your entire company's collaboration just grinds to a halt. But hey, don't worry, we've got a really clear blueprint to solve this. We're going to start by really understanding the problem, then I'll introduce you to the mail bridge solution. From there, we'll build it out step by step, first on the Google side, then over on the Microsoft side. We'll connect the two, and then we'll finish up with some final, really important checks. All right, let's really dive into the heart of the problem here. For that entire migration period, which could be weeks or even months, you've basically got one company living on two different email planets. Our job is to build a reliable shuttle service that seamlessly connects them. And this, right here, really visualizes what's at stake. On the left, total chaos. And we're not just talking about a few lost emails. This is broken workflows, missed deadlines, and seriously frustrated users. But on the right, that's what we want, total order. Seamless, reliable delivery, no matter which direction the email is going. That's our goal, and the bridge is exactly how we get there. So, our solution is actually a pretty elegant piece of mail routing. What we're going to do is create a special subdomain that acts as a kind of digital signpost. It's going to tell each system exactly where to forward an email when it can't find the person in its own local address book. And this is the absolute linchpin of the whole operation, the mail bridge subdomain. Just think of it like a temporary forwarding address, something like g-migration.yourdomain.com. Now, this domain isn't ever going to host actual mailboxes. Its one and only job is to create a clear path for Microsoft 365 to route emails back over to Google for anyone who hasn't been moved yet. All right, let's roll up our sleeves and start building. The very first part of our foundation gets laid inside the Google Workspace admin console. So these first few steps are pretty straightforward. You're just going to head into your Google admin console because we need to tell Google that this new subdomain even exists. You'll navigate over to the domain section, click add a domain, and then just type in the name we discussed. Something clear and obvious like gmigration.yourdomain.com works perfectly. Okay, stop and pay close attention here, because this next choice is absolutely, positively critical. You must select User Alias Domain. With this one single click, you are automatically creating a brand new email alias, like user@gmigration.yourdomain.com for every single user in your entire organization. This right here, this is the magic key that makes all the routing work later on. So now that we've created the alias domain in Google, we need to tell the rest of the internet that any mail for this new subdomain should still be delivered to Google servers. We do this by adding a specific mail exchanger record, an MX record, in your public DNS. And here's exactly what that DNS record should look like. It's pretty simple. The host is just our g/migration part. The value points directly to Google's main mail server. This is what tells the internet, hey, send all mail for this subdomain to Google, and you'll want to set the priority to 1 to make sure it's the top and really the only choice. Okay, with the Google site all set up, it's time to build the other end of our bridge. We need to let Microsoft 365 know about this new subdomain so it understands how to play its part in our new mail flow. The process over here is going to feel pretty familiar. It mirrors what we did in Google. You just log into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, head over to Settings and then Domains, and add the exact same subdomain. Then you'll have to go through the verification step. This is just Microsoft's way of making sure you actually own the domain, and it usually just involves adding a quick TXT record to your DNS. And here we go. This is the second absolutely critical step. When Microsoft asks how you want to connect the domain, do not let it configure the records for you. I repeat, do not. You have to choose Add Your Own DNS Records. Why is this so important? Because this is what prevents Microsoft from trying to take over the mail flow. We need that MX record to keep pointing to Google, and choosing this option makes sure it stays that way.
Okay, awesome. Both sides are now built and they're both aware of the subdomain. The final construction step is to officially connect them inside the Microsoft 365 Migration Manager itself.
So when you're inside the Migration Manager setting up your migration match, you're going to see a setting for Target Delivery Domain. This is what tells Microsoft the final internal address for users once they're fully on the M365 platform. This is usually just your default tenant domain, which looks something like yourtenant.onmicrosoft.com. So here's how it all comes together in practice. When an email comes into Microsoft 365 for a user who's already been migrated, it's handled locally, it's instant. But if the recipient is still on Google, M365 checks their details. It sees that special alias we created, and it has this aha moment. It knows, hey, this person isn't here yet, and so it forwards the email to user@g-migration.yourdomain.com. And since that domain's MX record points straight to Google, the email flows perfectly back across our bridge.
The bridge is built. The logic is sound. But before you start migrating a single user, let's just go over a few essential final checks to make sure everything launches smoothly. First things first, and I can't stress this enough, patience. DNS changes are not instant. It can take anywhere from 24 to even 48 hours for new records, like that MX record we created, to spread across the entire internet. You cannot rush this part. So let's just summarize the key takeaways. Get this whole subdomain setup done at least 2 full days before you even think about starting your first migration batch. Double, maybe even triple check that the domain shows as verified in both Google and Microsoft. And just remember, Microsoft's automated migration tools are incredibly powerful, but they will absolutely fail without this bridge. This whole setup is the foundation for their success.
And there you have it. A robust, totally reliable mail bridge that ensures zero downtime for your company's most critical communication tool. You've just solved one of the absolute trickiest parts of any migration. The foundation is set. The real question now is, are you ready for what comes next?